Is it that, this is more a tactical trade, that you go all the way up to perhaps May, June, till the new government comes, and then sell off the public sector banks, because there is a huge grind, maybe even some of the private sector banks, there is a huge economic grind before things get better. So this is more a tactical trade, not really an investment trade.
Well, in case of PSU banks, we have never really believed them to be long-term investment, targets, in terms of we would never really play a 2-year or a 3-year story. They are trading bets, and provided the elections turn out the way the market wants, I think, that is the rally to play in these PSU banks. Once that happens, then one has to really reassess, what is going to be the trajectory for the economy and how fast things can improve. And, provided action does start happening quite quickly, it's possible that the market may not necessarily look at 1 or 2 quarters of, bad numbers, and would start looking at re-rating FY 15 and 16 estimates. So, that is possible, but all said and done, clearly private banks would remain the structural bets even in this rally.
No, I'm wondering whether you can say this is one of those tide lifts all, rising tide lifts all boats. Because, I mean, even if you have the best available government come to power with the best possible majority ever, the economic cycle is not going to turn in 3 months or 6 months, right?
It can.
We're very far away from
very good
sudden reductions in large NPA numbers or anything like that. So I'm just wondering, what can they immediately fix? You can't immediately come in and promote demand, immediately come in.
No, Menka, you can fix hope.
But even that will take a while.
No,
and
even
a lot
if there
of
is a buzz of investment.
For instance, infrastructure, power, I mean, getting those projects into full execution mode is still going to take a few months at the very least, 3 to 6 months at the very least. So, I mean, I don't even know if this is a hope rally. Maybe this is just an imaginary rally, so to speak.
No.
Right?
If you have if you do hit a government which is able to get things right, or is perceived to be able to, then, people will start announcing investments. And that itself will set the motion. Money comes. When you smell growth, private equity money comes.
Is in a less leveraged position enough to start announcing large investments without completing the pending projects, whether they're power or to do with mining or to do with a metals plant. No corporate today is in that position. At the very least, you'll see some money that's stuck in those projects getting released or getting back into action. Who in the next 6 months or 8 months is going to be in a position to announce grand new projects?
Not grand new, but
who's sitting on that
money comes in.
Which
usually
group
private
in this
equity money
is sitting
would
on that
come
money?
in. Other kinds of money comes in the hope.
FII money doesn't go towards projects. I mean, after a point. So I'm just saying,
money could come.
Money
my
large
sense is that my sense is this whole thing is based on having a stable government that will do the right things after June. Yeah. But if that doesn't pay off, then you are in big trouble.
Okay, so just to add one more point here. Right now we are not in earnings season, but in April we will be. And suppose you get 3 or 4 shockers from PSU banks, which was not the case maybe last time around, but you do. Do you think the market will still ignore that and wait for the actual election results, or will the reaction be a bit more volatile, given that the stocks have already rallied quite a bit?
PSU bank numbers will come in the first week of May, perhaps, or last week of April.
Too close
the
to
market
the election.
Will very much go by what the last pre-election surveys
year
say.
numbers,
yes,
no? I mean,
true.
so you'll get.
So you have time till May 30th actually to announce those numbers.
So it'll get extended over.
Yeah, I think that will very much get intertwined with it. It could be bad numbers, and even if they're bad, see, gas power projects, the poison has not even been recognized as NPL, and they're not running. So this is still, I think, the hope rally can extend even if those numbers come out bad. And a lot of the poison will not be recognized even in that May numbers.
Even if the new government comes in and it's a beautiful new government and everybody is happy with it, to find the capital to recapitalize these banks, look, the problems are so entrenched. No 3-6 month period. I wonder if a 3-6 month period can fix them. Not 3-6 months, at least a year maybe.
Let me tell you, then
substantial improvement.
A change in sentiment can work wonders.
For stock prices, not fundamentals.
Yeah, but you can raise a QIP. Look at the SBI QIP, they did so badly. Anybody will
I
get
wonder
a QIP.
why.
Because it was announced on the same day as Argentina went under.
I see. You think that's the only reason?
No. That gave them that made it even more difficult.
Look at the underlying fundamentals. QIP investors also look at the underlying fundamentals of the banks.
I think people will come. If there is a reasonable faith that there is, or if a government actually kicks in with a decent majority, whatever the color of that government, if there is stability, then the stock markets will rally and a lot of investors, FII, PE, will come in. Vaibhav, wouldn't the QIP, if there is a stable government, do very well?
Certainly. Obviously, with valuations getting re-rated to an extent, if the QIPs can happen, above book value and are no longer dilutive to the book value, I think that would be a positive. And, with capital adequacy going above 9 and 10%, that would give a lot of comfort, at least for the larger PSU banks. So that is for sure. And, even looking at the earnings, at the end of the day, PSU banks have deeply cyclical P&Ls, and we've seen it in the last cycle as well. When things start improving, they can even see 40, 50, 60% earnings growth quite easily. So, earnings estimates can get re-rated quite meaningfully as well. So,
Vaibhav, what you're saying essentially is that the fundamentals will catch up with the stock prices within, let's say, 3 or 4 months of a new government coming to power, if it's a new stable government of the, the tone and color that everybody wants.
Well, not necessarily. I'm sure, all analysts would wait for, quarter on quarter, looking to upgrade their estimates. But the basic fact, remains that looking at where the valuations are currently, we are not really asking for almost anything from PSU bank numbers. I mean, they're already at 10% return on equity. Even if, and already consensus is factoring in about 25 to 30% earnings growth on a very low base, that can easily get upgraded by 10 to 15% every quarter. I mean, in the last 2-3 quarters, we've seen 10 to 15% earnings downgrade in every quarter virtually for PSU banks. So, the reverse can also happen in the next 2-3 quarters. So, there is scope. I mean, the basic point we're trying to make is that currently both estimates as well as valuations are not factoring almost any expectations from PSU banks. So there is currently not, enough to get worried that, okay, we are getting into unreasonable, sort of territories as far as extrapolations are concerned.
I have two caveats, if you have. One, that valuations are not that cheap. Vaibhav, I don't know, I have a UBS sheet over here, which says that if you adjust for the restructured assets and the NPLs, then the valuations are only at 15% discount to last 5 years average valuations of PSU banks. So it's not a mighty discount, and 15%, as we know, can be, crossed in 2 days. And the other caveat is all this is really a hope trade. I mean, we must get a government with a reasonable majority, and that
the government must come equipped with a magic wand.
So, I mean, that scares me really. How much, if you don't have that government in place by, say, May 16, if the numbers look a little wonky, the rupee can go to 66 in a day. So, it is very, very much a hope trade.
Speaking of rupee, by the way, it's recovered all the lost ground. It's already at 61, above 61 now, 60.97.
That's what you wanted to say?
No, I wanted to say, Menika, that, look, at the end of the day, a lot of Indian companies are investing outside India. It's not that, they're not willing to invest. Trust me, in India also they're willing to invest. The point that you mentioned that can things improve within 3 to 6 months? If you talk to a lot of corporates, maybe the answer is yes, they can improve if you have a conducive environment.
In terms of projects that are currently stuck, Anuj, not in terms of necessarily putting large amounts of money to work again. I'm saying yes, you may free up some of the money that's stuck or the projects that are currently stuck because of permissions, etc. And they may move fast in 3 to 6 months. No, but no company till you finish that is going to start putting more money on the table for other new projects, right?
Pepsi and Coke might.
Okay, fine. All right. We'll agree to disagree, and we'll take a quick break. Vaibhav, thank you very much for joining us.